Hello everyone, and welcome to another video where today we're going to be starting another project and series for the channel. So I was gardening, taking care of these tomato plants. Also, don't expect a video on gardening anytime soon. I simply don't have enough experience to, tell you guys how to grow the best tomato. Maybe in the coming years, but not right now. Anyway, I was weeding around them and I noticed there were a bunch of wild carrots around. And it got me thinking, sparked an idea. I wonder how big these wild edibles would get if I took care of them. I watered them, took care of the weeds around them, maintained soil pH, added fertilizer, that sort of thing. And in the long term, I could artificially select for certain characteristics by choosing which seeds I replant every year. In fact, wild carrots are the original carrot. This is the species that cultivated carrots come from. It's just, over thousands of years of artificial selection by humans, it's changed quite a bit. And in addition to exploring the history of one of the main things that makes us human, that being agriculture, it also has some interesting survival implications. Wild edibles may be good in a pinch, but they're not really that good as a long-term solution. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of land, because they're so inefficient, to support even a single person, let alone more than one. There's a reason that humans transitioned to agriculture. It's just simply a more effective, more efficient long-term solution if you're staying in an area. But this is a long-term project, so I obviously won't be able to do the whole thing today in this video. For the rest of this video, I will be talking about some plants that I think are good contenders for cultivation, as well as some counterexamples that really aren't. So let's start with some counterexamples. First being blueberries. Now, some of you might say, oh, is that because, well, this is already cultivated and, it's not that interesting. I'd rather cultivate other wild edibles that haven't been cultivated. Well, no, that's not really the reason. I am also going to cultivate wild carrots, and those have obviously been cultivated. No, the real reason I'm not considering this is because of my location. You see, here, blueberries don't need my help. The blueberries here are already producing large quantities of fruit, and honestly, I don't think I could do much better. The second counterexample are plants that are already extremely common, even if individual plants aren't doing so well, like this Allegheny blackberry. The last thing I need is more of these. And the third counterexample are plants that are unfortunately just uncultivatable, like the shagbark hickory right here. Now this tree species would be amazing to cultivate. It has pecan-like nuts, except, get this, the nuts taste better than pecans. I've had them before, they're absolutely to die for. And they produce a lot of them per tree, because it's a big tree. The problem? It takes 40 years for a single tree to start producing nuts. And it doesn't really start producing a lot of nuts until much later. So, unfortunately, you just can't really cultivate that. Let's talk about some of the plants that I am considering for cultivation. First being wild carrot. Now, this has the potential to become really big and a good food source, but it's not really that common around here, and it doesn't really grow to its full potential. So it's pretty much the prime example of one of the things I want to try and cultivate. Another plant with a lot of potential is this Bog Yellow Cress. Now, this is bordering on doesn't need my help territory, but there's just so much potential as a leafy green, and keeping it away from animals would probably help yields even more. The third plant that I'm seriously considering is the great water dock. Now, there are a bunch of different dock species on the property, but this one grows the biggest, has the most seeds, and arguably I think the seeds taste the best as well. It's a prime contender for cultivation, especially because, well, it's not too common, especially compared to other dog species, and also it really needs support that it doesn't have to support its really heavy seed head, which you can fix by tying a stick to it, but out in the wild it tends to blow over and then no seeds that year. And the last wild edible species I'll talk about today that I'm considering cultivating is the black raspberry. Now, while this is a fairly common plant, it's not very strong, and it tends to get crowded out by other plants, both of which are problems that can be solved by cultivation. Well, that about wraps it up for today. this isn't an exhaustive list, and when I finally get to harvesting the seeds and planting them, I might choose different plants, more plants, less plants, that sort of thing. It all depends on a variety of factors. And I'm looking forward to doing more videos on this project in the future. At any rate, I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed. See ya.